Alrighty then. I realized in that last video I turned the camera on myself and I got my badge on. I had to delete that part, so you missed a lot. Well, not a lot, but let's talk about some more good news. Some more good news is that now all of this stuff, first of all, it's just talk among anons and that kind of stuff. Oh, one more thing. There is another anon who disappeared, and he was a guy that posted, 2-3 times a day at least, probably. But he was real prolific, and then all of a sudden he just quit posting. And everybody was getting real concerned what happened to him. And he disappeared for a while, at least a week or something. And everybody was really getting concerned about him. Well, he popped up with a picture, standing in front of the sign that says, "Welcome to Guantanamo Bay." So these are who our anons are. Our anons are some people who know what they're doing. Many of them. And then there's a lot of people, a lot of anons that aren't tied to the government, that are being a big help. Who they are, who knows? But anyway, this anon that disappeared, turned up in Guantanamo Bay. He obviously works there. So, anyway, that was a relief. Some more good news. I cannot remember the segue into this, but we all know that the NSA takes everybody's data and they just store it. Personally, for me, I'm speaking from myself, I have never heard of them using this information for anything. Maybe they have, I haven't heard of it, but then I haven't studied it either. We know that the NSA saves everything. Every text message, every phone call, everything. I mean, if it goes over a radio, they've got it. If it goes over a CB, doesn't matter what it is, they've got everything. And they just store it. And I've never heard of them using it. It doesn't mean they don't. I just haven't heard of it. And then my world is real small anyway. So anyway, it turns out that they are going into the NSA databases for something that occurred. I cannot remember what this thing is. I would assume it's a murder or something. But when they go into this thing, it is going to tie into some of the school shootings. And this is what is amazing. Because investigating this thing, going into the NSA databases for this thing that they're going to investigate, is going to lead directly to some school shootings. Which ones, I don't know. But it's going to lead to some school shootings, which means they are going to be getting the phone calls from people that were there. So if there was anybody coordinating, talking about it on the phone, that kind of stuff, it's going to tie into that. This is like all it takes to open up huge investigations like that. Where it leads, who they connected to, who's on their contact list, who they call all the time, who they talk to. Let's go get those phone calls. And it is going to spread the network. Anyway, that's some more of the good news. Now, I am going to tell you about the bombshell. If you don't know what has been going on with Trump, I'm just going to briefly go through it. In that, it's not legal for the CIA to spy on anybody in the United States. So what they've done, they've got an alliance known as Five Eyes. I'm sure everybody knows about that. So they go to their Five Eyes partners, New Zealand, Australia, and Britain specifically, and said, hey, we can't spy on Trump, but you guys can spy on Trump, and then you can share the information with us because we're allies. And this is what happened. This is how Australia, New Zealand, and Britain are tied into the Trump dossier. And this is why people are getting fired left and right in those localities. Like the day after Trump was elected, the head of GCHQ quit. I gotta take care of my elderly parents. Okay, what most people don't know is that Obama himself went to Italy and got the Italian intelligence agencies to assist. And boy, did they have a plot. They were going to take tons of dirt, tons and tons of dirt, and the plan is to put it on computers located in the United States. And then it would be the CIA's job to tie it to Trump. And then Trump would go down as spying with Russia. Did you hear about the heads of the intel agencies just getting fired in Italy? Any idea why? I think they might have got fired because the president of Italy doesn't want no part of this collusion to take down Trump. The real problem began when these intelligence agencies went to put that fake information on computers in the United States. One computer in Seattle and one computer in New York, I believe. It turns out that what the intelligence agencies have done, they have put malware, spyware, on the computers and telephones of all of these elite people. The big baller shot callers. Now, I don't know if that includes Rothschild, but it's people like that. John Kerry, probably Hillary Clinton, all that kind of stuff. The Italian intelligence agency was spying on these top people all over the world. Thousands and thousands of them. These guys were getting some intelligence from the very, very top of the big baller shot callers. So when they found out the jig is up, Trump's going to come after them, they had to cover their tracks, just like Comey's trying to, just like Brennan's trying to, just like everybody's trying to. They never thought Hillary would lose, so they didn't bother covering up all the crap that they did. That's why they're all crapping their pants, because everything was laid out in the open when Trump took office. The problem is that Obama pardoned everybody before he left office. So Trump can't do that. So Trump has to go brand new. Trump has been setting traps, playing stupid, and all that so that these people have put their guard down and keep their same crap up. Now, the problem was whose computers they were going to put it on in the United States. You know who they chose? They chose like a nuclear physicist. They chose a nuclear physicist, and he is like extremely computer savvy, because I guess he is at the level where he writes programs for nuclear reactors or something like that. I don't know. All I know is this guy is way up there as far as academia. And he is literally a nuclear physicist. Nuclear engineer maybe, I don't know, but this guy is up there. On top of that, this guy is very, very high up in the 666 Society. And he said, oh, my brother's trying to blame it on me. That's not gonna fly. What do you think somebody in his position would do? Well, because they arrested him for espionage. They had him locked up for 18 months, going to prison, going to court. They're going to lock this guy up for the rest of his life, and he didn't do anything except own a couple of computers that they wanted to put crap on to entrap Trump. When they locked this guy up, he started singing like a bird. And what happened? Well, you can do some deep research if you want to, and go to, you can type in, lodges in Italy, and it'll tell you that there's, all these regions, all these different Grand Lodges, and then they're under this one great big huge Grand Lodge, and you look at this one specific Grand Lodge, or not Grand Lodge, but a local lodge. Little teeny tiny town. Now, let's go back for just a minute for some background and talk about General Albert Pike. He wrote this letter to this guy talking about the 3 world wars. First World War is going to take out the czars, because that's the last Christian nation standing in the Rockefeller's way. In the aftermath, they can take down the Ottoman Empire, which is keeping the 666 Society from central banks in the Middle East, and keeping the 666 Society from infiltrating the Middle East, spreading their satanic shit. And then the Third World War, pitting the Muslims against the Christians so that they destroy each other, and then we can raise victorious and rule the world with our satanic Lord and Savior. All right. Because if you worship Lucifer, you can be filthy, filthy rich, you can be filthy, filthy famous, and you can be filthy, filthy powerful. Hooray! And if you're not, then what's the point? If you're not filthy rich, if you're not filthy powerful, and if you're not filthy famous, then you didn't get shit in return for sacrificing children and molesting children and all that other stuff that Satan requires for you to show your loyalty. Yeah. So anyway, there's this little tiny law. General Pike. General Pike wrote this letter. Who did he write this letter to? This guy named Mazzini. Or Mazzini. I hope I don't say it wrong. But it's Mazzini or Mazzini. And this man, who General Albert Pike is telling his secrets to, so they must be good friends or something. Well, this guy founded his own little secret club. And they called it Cosa Nostra. The Mafia. The Italian Mafia. Sicilian Mafia. We know what they're famous for. To me, they're most famous for Carlo Gambino. But, anyway. That's who General Albert Pike wrote that letter to. I think his name, I don't know. Anyway. His last name was Mazzini. Who founded the Cosa Nostra in Sicily. Well, in Sicily, they just raided a lodge. They arrested police officers and politicians, members of this lodge, for drug trafficking in the hometown of the head honcho of the mafia in Sicily. Now when you research this lodge, I can't remember the name, it's Tapani or something like that, I don't want to get it wrong, but when you research that lodge, you find out it's a little tiny town. So 27 people in this lodge, Jiminy Christmas. How many people can this lodge have? And they were politicians and police officers. Now, do you suppose that there's one police officer in that lodge that doesn't really want to go to prison and he might trade some information? Well, I don't think somebody like that would be able to tell him who's dealing dime bags on the street. I think he'd have to tell him some decent information. You think? So anyway, we got this little tiny little lodge. I couldn't find out how big it was, how many members they had or anything like that, but you can do a lot of research on the area, and I would say 27 people is going to be a huge percentage of the people in that lodge. But do you think that just one person out of those politicians and police officers don't really want to, spend forever in a day in prison? I don't know if they got, execution for drug dealers or what over there. But you think there's one of them that just might want to talk like the guys here in the United States? Because I guess from the information that people are putting out, like Joe DeGenova and other people are putting out, that there is a lot of people calling up to talk because they don't want to spend the rest of their lives in prison as well. I suppose those are mainly school shooter type people. I don't know, but they say that the phone there is tons of people that are talking to the people involved in investigating all this stuff. But do you think that this lodge might lead to others, customers, sources, methods Do you think that just one of these people who was arrested, who doesn't want to serve all that time for drug trafficking, fraud, embezzlement, might want to trade? This is the third time this guy's come by. Hooray! Have a nice day, buddy. Somewhere else. I kind of get that idea that all these little bitch boys are trying to save their own ass by ratting out everybody else. So I don't know. There was something else I wanted to get into. I can't remember what it is, but that was the bombshell. That this bust is going to lead to others, to others, to others, to others. And all the countries that are working with Trump, they are going to try and bring this down. Let's talk about Russia for just a second. I never wanted to bring this up, but I've known this for years. You know, they've got, you know, the gang fag little bitch boys there in Russia as well. And they're called, over there they call them watchdogs. And I've never wanted to acknowledge that, because watchdogs is, you know, like it's too respectful for me. And these pieces of dog shit ain't getting a drop of respect from me. Trump is going to give them all they got coming if he gives them that little break for the low-level bitch boys. But even calling them watchdogs is too nah. And they've tried to cover it up with a game. They got a game in Russia called Watch Dogs. Maybe they got it here in the United States too. I don't know. But I know when I do the searches, I get tons of the watchdog game popping up. But anyway, I can't remember what else I was going to add to this, so I'll cut this one off and make another one if I remember. Hope that helps. Talk to you later.